Daily Chop, everybody. First off, I want to remind you guys to like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. The other thing I want to talk to you guys about is some special guests I got with me. One is super beautiful, and the other one I've known my whole entire life, pretty much. I don't know. How old was I? Probably 9 maybe.
8.
And I met this young man at a church that I was raised in by the name of Zoe Velez. So I want to
What up?
take the time to appreciate you. And
Bro, thanks for having me. Come talk, man, live like this, man, because we always have conversations and we always wish we was recording them.
Yeah.
And you know, we're doing it, man. And you've been doing it, actually, man. You've been doing it pretty consistent lately. I've been seeing all of the cool interviews. You even interviewed, talked to my brother a little bit.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
the cool thing that I love the most is that he has actually, you and your brother had a lot of inspiration to me growing up.
Dope,
A lot of the things that I would go through as a child, I would talk to you guys about, and you guys would give me your knowledge on it. And matter of fact, this music that we got going today is actually your beat, man.
Word.
And,
Yeah, I can hear it. Yeah, man.
I remember growing up, it was probably right around the time PlayStation 1 came up. You guys would start making beats. You guys would make beats in the
On
morning.
that beat generator.
Yeah.
We were right on the remote control, man.
Yeah. And so now to have you here today after you've made multiple albums, worked with some great artists, man, and did some tours.
Definitely.
It's an honor to have you here, man.
Bro,
So,
thank you, man. Likewise. I feel being acknowledged, man, even by family. I love it. Thank you, man. Yeah.
But I also have my beautiful woman with me. Look at her. Natalie. Thanks
Hi.
for being here always.
Of course.
You are like one of the best co-hosts. And we are also
Thank you.
beginning to plan some other things. You know, we've got another podcast in mind that we are working on.
Yeah.
And
Sweet.
I have some ideas and some other family that I want to possibly put in some roles and open up ours, with you.
Yeah.
It's just it's a great thing that we have and that we're working on.
Yeah.
So
It's pretty cool.
I don't know if I want to say the name yet, should we, or no?
Man, I can't wait to hear it.
We don't have to say the name, but it's just, it's going to be, I think it'll be a good one.
Yeah.
But we should definitely eventually start opening it up for people to, write to us or, get a hold of us to see if they want to be on it. It's about second chances. And so, yeah, look for that soon. So that'll be pretty dope.
Yeah, well. But Zoe, once again, thank you for being here.
Yeah, no doubt.
Growing up with you in church and following you on this on your journey.
Yeah, man.
Has been really great. But what your music career, man? What first inspired you in your music career?
First inspired me as far as music, just regular music. Just the things that I would see through media back then when I was a kid. The things that you would hear on the school bus. You know what I mean? Like you would hear different bands. You would hear Tears for Fears. You would hear Bruce Springsteen music. You would hear Black Sabbath music, man. And so it was those moments being out away from the family, because we have such a religious family, that it was kind of like all of that was blocked out.
Yeah.
All of that was like Satan, it's the devil. So let's close our ears to that. The only music that's being played in the house is going to be like worship music.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Anything Christian, back in those days, there was a rock and roll group called Petra that my mom tolerated. So we would, and they're good, man. They're like dope. Yeah. Petra is like one of those like 80s rock bands that were so good that you couldn't really tell unless you were just like really, really with your ear into the lyrics. But
Yeah.
the cool thing is that I don't think you'd be able to miss it because you hear a different message and a different vibe coming from Petra.
Yeah.
But anyway, groups like Petra, Carmen,
Carmen.
you know, I know that there's more. There was a guy named Russ Taff. There was a guy named Amy Grant. You know, who else?
Michael W. Smith.
Yeah, Michael W. Smith. Stephen Curtis Chapman. You know, you would hear stuff in the house. You know what I mean? But all of that influenced me too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not going to say that none of that influenced me. All of that influenced me. So yeah, that was, and then my dad being the leader of a salsa band back in those days.
Yeah. He played the
So
congas.
yeah, he would play the congas, and the guys would get together every Saturday morning. I remember, and that had an effect on me too. You know, an influence on me too. So yeah, man.
Well, how did you get into touring? Like
Well,
what?
to music, into like hip hop music.
Yeah. Like how did you?
Hip hop was basically, it started out with like Beat Street, movies like with Beat Street, movies, I think it's called Wild Style, different, The Warriors, even things that started to expose me to like hip hop and rap music. So I was like, you know, maybe 7 or 8 discovering rap music for the first time. And really, it was all at once, you know. I loved the rock back in the day. I loved all that stuff. But, you know, seeing those early images of hip hop and people rapping, you know, seeing the Disorderlies by the Fat Boys, you know, different things like that had me like, man, hip hop is dope.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, we would hear Curtis Blow every once in a while, every once in a blue moon, you know. But yeah, it was early stuff like that.
That got you into
that
like
got me into rhyming,
rapping,
rhyming and writing my own and things like that. I used to write here and there as a kid. I remember being 12 years old, where it kind of started. But I didn't take it really too serious until like I started to like develop a spiritual lifestyle.
Okay. So I guess let me back it up a little bit. So when I was asking your first inspirations for music, that's kind of what when you first started rapping or writing, did you have anybody that inspired you and as far as writing and how you wrote?
Like when I was a teenager, or when I was well, I was a teenager when I started writing. Again, I was 17 when I started to take it a little more serious.
Okay, so when you started to take it a little more serious, who was it then? Wow.
Because as you guys got older, like then you started to find out like Christian rap artists.
Well, right? We found out Christian rap artists, but like and it all happened at the same time. Yeah. It was like Snoop Dogg was really big.
B.I.G.
You know, all of that stuff started to influence our taste, you know, all through high school. And so by the time I decided I wanted to write and wanted to have my hand at it, like, you know, I was like, there was like very few people that inspired me, like in a personal level, where they're like, yo, I like those raps. I mean, I had a few friends that were like, yo, we love it when you freestyle. You know, I used to hang out with kids from Pontiac, Michigan, or Saginaw, and the thing is that they were from all over Ohio and Michigan. You know, there was like a clique of people that I used to gravitate towards when it came to like hip hop and stuff like that.
Okay.
And so like when things started to, like, as a teenager, as a 17-year-old, started to get crazy and out of control, I started to develop a spiritual life. Like, I think it's just the law of nature. That's just natural. Like, you go through stuff, and then then you start to seek answers outside. So it was like around that time where I started to think to myself, like, man, I really want to just put the pen to the pad and just start to formulate my own rhymes. So so it was all of the like Cypress Hill, you know, different people that kind of inspired me. There wasn't really somebody who was like, you're good at this, besides like maybe my brother Griff, or like, you know, maybe a couple of the homies. It wasn't really a lot of people. So in church, that was a whole different, because we started to do full songs in church.
Yeah, I remember that.
You know
You
what I'm
remember
saying?
that?
Yeah. I remember. One time I went with them up to Toledo.
Yeah, we went to Toledo. I had a show in Toledo.
We had a show up in Toledo.
Little
Yeah, where they
swag
did.
day.
And we
They
went to
rapped,
Fort
right?
Wayne.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to a few places like
Yep.
Lima,
Yeah.
Fort Wayne, Toledo. I think they even went to the Cherry Street Ministry one
Yep.
time. Did something
Yep.
up there, if I
Yep.
remember.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, dude. So like it just, wherever we could get in, we would go. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
it was like, it wasn't really churches that we would go to. We would go to these like places that were affiliated with a church, and we would perform for their youth, or
Yeah.
we would perform for, you know, whatever the event was, because there were a lot of events that we would do, and it wasn't just like, but I mean, we did a heck of a lot in the church too as well. I have
Yeah.
to say, a heck of a
Yeah.
lot. And if it wasn't for people like Tito and Elisa and this is your family, you know,
Yeah.
this is how we're connected, because this is the church that I started to really go to heavy when I was like 17, 18, all up into my early 20s. And then we started to move in our separate directions in life, like states,
Yeah.
army, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, I want to say Lynette, and I want to say Jay,
Yeah.
you know, and their spouses, because all of it inspired my writing, because
Yeah.
they were like, oh, okay, this can be of good use.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if anybody has any little wisdom, like, to be of good use is like big, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And some people take their spots too seriously in church, and so it's like they feel like there's somebody that they're not without God, you know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right,
So
yeah.
I was like, I want to help out in church, but I want to do it my way. I want to do it the way that I feel inspired to do, without trying to go against leadership,
Right.
to go against leadership and go against, you know, people who have founded this place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just common decency, you know what I'm saying? And all we did was, all we were was inspired going to that church.
Yeah.
Just completely inspired to write, to even, you know, to read, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? To
Yeah.
read books. A lot of the times, other sources of inspiration were like people who did it but didn't take it that serious, or people who did it and they didn't really have like a certain level of like showmanship or excellence.
Yeah.
So that inspired us too, you know, little things like that.
I feel that. Now, once you advanced on your career, and then you started making more albums and growing, I remember you guys. I think you guys went out west at one point.
Yes.
Some recording out west, and now I know you've expanded even more. And at one point, I seen you on a few tours. What were some lessons that you learned, or memorable things that you have since you've grown and gotten to that point?
Well, one of the earliest lessons was that flight out to LA. One of the earliest lessons that really hit home. So, shout out to Tunnel Rats. Shout out to Dax.
Yeah.
Much love to you guys. Dax Journey. You know, Rafi was there. Propaganda was there. I remember.
Wow.
Shout out to Macho. Macho was there. But that was it. Everybody else was not there. Like, Journey wasn't there. Zane wasn't there. Elsie wasn't there. Sev Static wasn't there. And none of these new cats like Triune and that other cat that's on the new record. But anyway, those guys were big. I remember one moment where Dax like put everybody out of the studio except for like maybe 4 or 5 of us. And he sat us down and he started to talk to us. He was like at the soundboard, and he was like, he had his arms on the soundboard, and he was like talking to us, and we were like surrounding him, and he at one point turned around and talked to us, but he was just like, I want to tell you guys something. Y'all don't want this unless you really want this. You gotta really want this if you really want this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that was kind of like the like a moment, you know, like if I learned anything on this tour, not on this tour, but on this trip, you know, it was this. You don't want it unless you really want it. And I knew that I loved it. And I knew that it was like, you know, a mind expansion for me because I'm writing songs now. Bars.
Yeah.
Bars was another thing that I learned on this trip. You know, we were writing, and we were writing like to no end on a sheet. To no end. The verse wouldn't stop. The verse could not stop because we didn't know where to stop, when to stop, why to stop. We didn't know song structure.
Yeah.
So when we flew out there, that was one of the biggest lessons I've learned. Those two lessons, how to write your verses, and you know, you don't want this unless you really want this.
Yeah.
And I admire Dax for that, you know, because he showed a lot of leadership. You know, the cat ain't super tall. He ain't a super tall dude, but like literally everybody in his group towers over him. You know, he's like this Napoleon, you know,
type dude
figure. You know what I mean? Where and it's not no less bullcrap with you know, short man kind of whatever they say with the complex. Whatever. The dude's a real leader.
Yeah.
He's a real leader. And you know, people like him, people love him, I mean, and then, you know, some people hate this guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But nevertheless, my experience with him was nothing but love, and I can only be in like really a debt of gratitude to this cat because he's the one that really was like, yo, Latinos can do this.
Wow.
Latinos can. He didn't say it in those words. He exemplified it.
Yeah.
You know,
that's what's up.
You know, we're talking about a guy who's written for other singers at that time. One of the legends is about this guy is that he wrote the song "I Believe I Can Fly," and the record label that he submitted it to took the lyrics, and R. Kelly ended up singing the song.
Wow,
so that's a little legend out there.
Yeah.
So we were blown away about that. Like we was blown away when we found out later. But you know, we were flown out with a bunch of other cats like there's Neogen, I think is his name, and a cat from Remnant Militia.
That's what's up.
Yeah,
Man.
but that was like one of the first earliest lessons.
Did you perform out there at all?
No.
And no? Okay.
But we did. I did. This guy hooked it up. I didn't know who he was at the time, but we ended up getting a song with Tumex. And if you know Tumex, you know the Visionaries, Los Angeles. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about one of the best underground hip hop groups ever, and there's so few of them. And you know, they're in the tradition of hieroglyphics. They're in the tradition of like Wu-Tang Clan, where it's a big group of these dudes.
Okay.
And yeah, man.
That's dope.
Yeah.
That's sick, man.
Yeah. But yeah, that was one of the coolest hip hop experiences. You know.
I believe it, dude. I remember that. I remember when you started working with them and you went out west.
Yeah, the Tunnel Rats. Yeah.
I was still young. I was still here.
Yeah.
So that's sick. But I wanted you here because I wanted to talk about faith, music, and the mind.
Yeah, man, definitely. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, bro. First thing I want to talk on is purpose, passion, and perseverance.
Yeah, man.
And how have these three values applied in your music journey?
Yeah, man, definitely. Purpose, passion, perseverance. So, you know, it's different for everybody, obviously, right? So, like, there are degrees, there are levels to it. There, you know, and for where I'm at, purpose is it's something that has to come from deep within, and you have to have enough childlike faith to believe it's true. Mm-hmm. You know, it's this thing that you have inside of you as a youngster, and you have to have enough childlike faith as you get older to believe that it's true.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's purpose. And if we can find that, I mean, it takes care of a lot of heartache, I think.
Yeah.
And we don't ignore it. You know what I mean? So purpose is something that I think that we all are trying to realize, and it begins to change, you know, over time. You know, your purpose begins to change. You begin to learn more, which it should, I think. Yeah. But finding your purpose is a spiritual journey, and for me, it's always been a spiritual journey. So for me, I have a few purposes. In music, it's just to write, you know, as best as I can at the highest level I can, putting my heart into it. Yeah. Period. Because a lot of the times I get cerebral with it. Mm-hmm. And I'll just be like wanting to give me a topic, give me an idea. And then also too, just coming from the heart with it, like coming from a place of emotion is what I'm trying to say. Yeah. Because you can write from the head and it's not going to necessarily connect with people, but when you come with the emotion,
people feel that.
People feel that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can attest to that.
So that's
some music for sure.
That's the purpose for the passion. The passion is exactly that. You know, when you think about passion, you're thinking about a boxing bag in a gym and somebody beating the shit out of that boxing bag for 3 minutes as hard and as fast as they can. That takes passion. You know what I mean? And to me, that's kind of like what it is with the music and what it is with life is you gotta go to that bag and you gotta keep knocking it out. Keep knocking it out. Keep knocking it out. And in my case, the bag is writing. The bag is just writing and writing and writing. Whether it's writing a rhyme or whether it's writing in my journal or whether it's writing like some kind of a memoir, like writing.
Yeah.
And write and keep writing, you know. Especially for cats that, you know, when it comes to college degrees and things of this nature, like, you know, to keep your mind activated, to keep yourself sharp, writing. You know what I'm saying? And so that's what it was for me. It was a mental stimulation, and it was a channel to give my passion, to give my best to try my wittiest to write at a high level.
Right.
So what you say purpose, passion, and perseverance. Yeah, man, perseverance. The first time I heard that word, I was working at Carmine's, Little Italy. And Carmine was like, he pulled me to the side one night and he's like, Zoe, he's like, perseverance. He's like, you need to learn that word, perseverance. And so, you know, throughout the years, I learned what that word was, you know, and it's just being consistent, doing it when you don't feel like doing it, being consistent, making the sacrifice. You know, a lot of the times I was driving myself to these shows. I'm driving myself down to record with the crew. You know, so perseverance, like doing what you got to do to get where you want to go, putting yourself out there. Yeah, you know, not having that fear.
Is there a specific time that you can remember where you really had to use perseverance in your music career?
When I was in South Carolina, I think that was one big moment. Perseverance is like, for me, it's just like not giving the music up in a foreign town. And I was like, I don't know, I was like 21, 22, I think, maybe.
Yeah.
Because it was different, probably.
Yeah, so it was like, I grew up here in this small town, and then I go to a little bit bigger town, which it's not huge, Charleston, but
Yeah.
it is a big city.
Right.
A lot of cool stuff comes through.
I
Yeah.
bet.
But not knowing anybody and still wanting to do music. And I remember, hitting the internet, like who's who in Charleston, and I ended up meeting up with the local DJ, linking up, and that's perseverance, man. Meeting people, being open, meeting people, doing what you got to do.
Yeah. And what is some advice you can give to upcoming artists about, when they're going through and on staying consistent, I guess? What would you say to them?
The best advice for them would be to invest in themselves, because today's game is a different game than it was back when I was younger.
Yeah.
Back then you had to do a lot of more physical activity. Now the universe is serving up these kids the easiest way to do it. And the easiest way to do it is to invest in yourself.
Yeah.
Is to buy the beat machine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Buy the beat machine. Buy the Korg Triton. Buy, the computer software to run a DAW, a digital audio workstation for yourself. Do that. Start with that. Start messing with it. Do it. Make sure it's a daily habit that you're doing this. Because people will definitely want your services, especially when you continue to put yourself out there.
Yeah.
But just yeah. Invest in yourself, and then also to seek out mentors or people that are ahead of you, and that they're ahead of you.
Yeah.
Seek mentors out. And then the third one would be invest in yourself, seek mentors, and then the other one would be one of those laws of power in Robert Greene's book. You never outshine the master is one of the laws of power. Okay. Never outshine the master. So when you are seeking mentors, don't act like you're big shit,
Yeah.
And I had trouble with pride back in the day. Like, I had major issues with pride. I broke that rule fucking, sorry for cussing. I broke that rule a ton of times with good people.
Yeah.
Good people that I shouldn't have been trying to outshine.
Yeah.
And just been like, yo, namaste,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Loving
That's
them,
good.
appreciating them, recognizing that God's in them. Instead, it was a lot of competition when when I moved away into the city, into Charleston. It started to be more about competition, and I got lost in that just a little bit. Just being competitive, trying to be the best, you know.
Do you think you missed valuable insight that you could have been given because of it?
Yeah, that's what automatically happens. You turn off your mentor doesn't even think about you now.
Yeah.
That person doesn't even think about you now.
Yeah.
But to be humble and in that aspect, never outshine your master. Be humble, and that's what people mean when they say be humble. They're just not giving you the rest of what that means. The rest of what that means is don't go around acting like you the illest when one, you're not, and then number two, if you ever want to be, you need these people in your life. You can't do this on your own.
Right.
Yeah.
So seek people out. Be dope. Give credit where it's due. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. I completely feel that. Man.
Yeah.
So the next thing I want to talk about is God, Jesus, and religion.
Yeah.
And how has spirituality influenced your thoughts and your art?
God, Jesus, and spirituality. Is that what you mean?
Yes, sir.
Okay. God, Jesus, and spirituality. How has it affected? Well, I've always believed in God, right? I've always believed that there is something beyond. And I don't even mean something beyond out there, but more beyond in here than we could fathom. And I knew it at an early age. I knew it. So I always believed in God. But then when it came to Jesus, that kind of threw a curveball to me. And it's because as much as I wanted to preach the gospel on the street corner when I was that age, super young, 17, 18, I still had a feeling that I shouldn't write my raps like that. You know, I should be palatable to everybody. So that's why I say Jesus threw me a curveball, because I believe Jesus, yes, but do I go all cross movement out like that? You know, which I love cross movement. I believe everybody has their
thing,
their place, and that group's crazy. I mean, things change, man.
Yeah.
Things change.
Yeah.
When we were young, Heaven's Mentality was the ish, but things changed.
Yeah.
Jesus threw a few of those guys a curveball. But for me, Jesus is the Son of God, and the way that he influenced me was like the Beatitudes.
Yeah.
So the Beatitudes, the Sermon on the Mount, that was the thing that really caught my attention and changed the way that I even wrote. Because I used to write raps like, you know, bust your shit and, you know, this, that, and the third, and kick your ass, you know, my crew, you know, this, that, and the third. I used to write raps like that as a 12-year-old, 13-year-old.
Yeah.
But never seen the light of day. Thank God. But it being about just Jesus, I couldn't see myself doing that. So I wrote raps as poetically as possible with a faith-based message. So it was what? God, Jesus, and spirituality. So spirituality is like this process for me. It's a journey. Spirituality is a process, it's a journey, it's a reality. So it's like if you want to grow as a human being, you got to be spiritual. You have to be spiritual. You have to use a different way to look at things. So that has always that was behind the scenes of it all, guiding me, teaching me trying to be more spiritual, you know, which it's hard. You know, the thing of it is I don't even believe that I should try to be more spiritual. I should just be more spiritual. You know what I'm saying? Because trying is where it escapes you.
Yeah.
Right.
If you are, and the Bible does say be. You know, even in the beginning, that was like one of the first words: be fruitful. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To just be. You know.
Right.
And to create.
I feel that. So I guess that leads me into my next question. What are some moments in your career where faith held you grounded in your career?
Faith had me grounded?
Yeah, where it held you grounded, moments in your career where faith helped you just keep grounded.
Yeah, man. All of it, I think. There are moments where, like, thinking too much of yourself. I think that's one way that faith has come into my life during my whole time making music, is like, you know, don't act like you're bigger than what you are. You know, have a realistic view of yourself. And all of that takes, you know,
Grounding.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel that. All right, so the next one is definitely a deeper. The next one is definitely a deeper conversation, and it gets more into the mind. And I kind of want to talk about trauma in the mind, PTSD, and some of the new studies on some of the conversations that we've had over the time on plant-based medicine, such as ibogaine, marijuana, and psychedelic mushrooms.
Yeah, man.
And some of the thoughts and conversations that we've had, because I know you've done your own studies, and I've done. I've done
research. Yes, absolutely, 100%.
Yeah. Well, and
not just the research that y'all are thinking about.
Right. No,
real research, like
definitely
books.
Yeah. You've read a lot of books.
Yeah. Plenty books.
And I'm going to get into that a little bit later with you in the show on books, but I guess my main thing was that I know Joe Rogan had done a show.
Absolutely, I've seen that.
On ibogaine.
On ibogaine, yeah. I think I showed you that one, and he had a doctor in there, but they're saying like a lot of vets. I think I can't remember the exact number, but there's been a plethora of combat veterans. But yes, I think on talking about ibogaine starting off, I think Governor Abbott from Texas was the original one who started it. He wanted to...
In the U.S.
In the U.S. He started the movement, I should say. He did a lot of studies. He had a very well-known special forces veteran that he helped out. And I know he had some ibogaine treatment, and it sounds like it did wonders for him. And that, that's kind of where I heard that study on Joe Rogan. But Zoe, you were speaking on the things on plant-based medicine.
Plants.
Yeah,
absolutely,
yeah.
Man. I was just about to say, I believe in it. I believe that it can help humans. These plants can help humans. It's just humans have kind of corrupted it. And then if you look at big pharma and how all of their drugs, especially when it comes to antidepressants, and then when it comes to just actually curing disease, like they don't care about curing disease.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, no, not at all.
And so a lot of disease, in my opinion, starts with the mind. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And things like ibogaine, from what we've been looking at, is you could have hardcore addictions to a lot of stuff. You could be a heroin addict. You could be a opioid addict. You could be a crack addict. You could even just be somebody who smokes weed, and you do ibogaine, to be treated for addiction, and you come out not craving it whatsoever. Like your complete outlook on it is changed. Your mind is changed, and so it's like it's such a slippery slope. Sometimes I feel like with certain things, because human beings tend to want to abuse things, but like with psychedelics, like you can abuse them, but it just seems like the abuse is a little lower than what you would expect it to be, being classified the way it's classified in our country.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this can destroy, your life.
Right.
But yeah, man, when it comes to psychological issues, PTSD even, I would imagine that ibogaine could probably help with that stuff too.
Oh, yeah. Now, the one thing I do want to say is when these studies are being done, they're being done in a facility, in a doctor's office. It's not being done at their home.
Right.
These veterans are actually traveling to Mexico and other countries. I think Texas recently started on it due to Governor Abbott. But these things are not being done on their own. So do not take it's what I'm saying here and go and try to make your own ibogaine.
Yeah.
Okay, it's very dangerous.
Don't do it.
Yeah,
and
no.
without the doctor and proper medical tools and different things that need to be
Doses.
And I know there's a bunch of things with potassium involved that has to be done, and just different things in the body. So do not go and try this on your own. This is things that are paid for.
Right.
Studies that I've researched, podcasts that I've listened to, and other stories from combat veterans that have had this done. So please do not go and do this on your own.
I think this is kind of just like too with, people discredit, what food can do to heal your body.
Yeah.
And it's like God has put, everything we essentially need on this earth to help us. And, to me, wherever, ibogaine derived from was, from the earth. And I think too many people like villainize things that could potentially, cure you or cure someone of these things that medicine really, or pharmaceutical medicine just covers,
I think it's called the ibo plant, and then they extract it and make ibogaine.
Yeah, it's Yeah, it was. It was. It's called ibogaine, but it was from
Iboga plant or something.
iboga
Iboga,
plant.
yeah.
There you go,
Iboga plant, I think
iboga.
that's what it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was honestly stumbled upon from a man who struggled with heroin use.
Yeah. Back
You
in
know?
the 70s, I do believe, if I'm right, 70s or 80s, he was addicted to heroin. He was from New York or somewhere up northeast, and he struggled with him and his wife.
It was the 60s.
60s, okay, correction, 60s. And,
Howard Lotsoff.
Howard Lotsoff, there you go. Yeah, and he struggled and he did it, and the outcome he had was way different than what he expected, and that's kind of where it came from. But when when Nixon, I believe it was Nixon when he made the war on drugs, a lot of the psychedelics went on a Schedule 1, and when it goes on a Schedule 1, you cannot do any medical research on it. And so for years it's been on that classification, so nobody has had the legal rights to test it other than outside of the United States.
Yeah.
Now I heard recently, I don't know if it's true or not, but I heard recently that President Trump was working on removing marijuana from the Schedule 1 list.
Yeah.
I don't know how true that is, but I do know that it has helped a tremendous, it has had a tremendous impact on combat veterans.
Yeah, man. Absolutely.
And their PTSD for sure.
I think he should. I mean, you don't hear anything about how marijuana is even a iota as dangerous as liquor could be
Yeah.
consumed in the same fashion. You could sit there for hours and smoke, and the worst thing what happens is you get a headache.
Right.
You had a headache and you're hungry. But alcohol, you could literally die from
Yeah.
poisoning yourself with alcohol.
Yeah.
So it's just, to me, and I've seen rabbis debate this about what's better, marijuana or alcohol, and it seems like the consensus between like even rabbis is that alcohol is just so much better, or wine is just so much better.
Yeah.
And I think it has to be preference to me, man.
Yeah.
It has to be preference at that point when, I just feel like there should be a neutral ground with our religious leaders. They should just be like, look, man, they both ain't good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it seems like they just kind of lean over to the wine. They're like, you know what? But a little bit of wine, you'll be all right. A little bit of wine.
So, in saying that, brings me to my next question. What are some misconceptions that people have on plant-based medicines that you think?
Misconceptions is that they're for nothing, and that they have zero benefit, and that all it does is destroy your life, and all of this stuff that just is propaganda to me. People inherit these attitudes by their parents and the people before them and the people around them, and I think that I don't want anybody to start something that it's outside of their pocket, outside of their realm of understanding. But a lot of us, we grew up and these things were around us, and we consume them. And so we've consumed them a few times, some of these psychedelics. And, especially, I mean, I've consumed, mushrooms. I've had LSD before. I've tried DMT before. And so it's not necessarily for research more than just what is this? What can I see? What can I learn from it? And that's pretty much why I took it, for my own like self-experiment. Like, how can this benefit me? How can this benefit anybody? Because I don't want to just say, for me, I was the type of person, I don't want to knock this. I don't want to say that this is horrible. But when you see people in the inner cities, standing up, but like leaning over, and they're all their crap is falling out their pockets, and they're drooling out the mouth, and they're like falling all over the place. Like, now it's like, now you see something ain't right. Something isn't right here. You know, these people are unconscious, and they are literally a liability to themselves and to the public. Versus, you know, I mean, my experience with psychedelics is that it opens your mind to a new dimension of your own consciousness. So you begin to see deeper. You begin to think things a little deeper. You become a little bit more empathetic. You become you have a little bit more sympathy. You're less of a a-hole, as some people would put it. And also to intention, you know, the intent that you have going into these experiences, all matters. Everything matters when it comes to taking psychedelics. Everything matters. So it has to be done with respect, if anything. You have to have 100% respect and set up your scene and setting to have anything remotely to a beneficial experience. Because people talk, you could have bad trips. Yeah. The power of the mind. The power of the mind. If you set up your scene and setting and you go into it with a spiritual attitude and a positive mindset, you will have the most enlightening experience. But if you just get done fighting with your spouse, you just get done yelling at your kids, you just get done, trying to scram off the people that you love so that you can have your little experience at home, you're gonna have a bad experience, man. Everything has to be set up. You know, kids gotta be on vacay. Nothing. It's just you and the ones that you love, and you sit down and you have a beneficial experience. I believe it can help. But the party aspect of these drugs is bad. Very bad. If you go into it with that kind of lack of respect.
Right. That Ibogaine does, and just what I've, read and listened to about it is that, when Ibogaine is used in a controlled setting, with doctors, they go based off of your, height, age, weight, all those things. And, what happens with brain injury or PTSD or addiction is that, the white matter that's on our brains gets depleted or diminished. And so when they give you this treatment, and it's like a 2-day treatment, it actually replenishes that white matter. And I'm pretty sure it helps with like neurotransmitters, and the regeneration of them, as well as, your dopamine levels and your serotonin levels. And so it's actually doing something physically in changing the anatomy of your brain. It's not just an experience, you know what I mean? It's a physical, a physical reaction that happens because of it. Yeah. And so they're seeing great effects, and a lot of progress with a lot of these vets and people that have struggled with any type of those things, with addiction and head trauma. So, it's not just like a psychedelic trip, like what people probably think it is. It's, right. It's a lot more than that, and what it does to restore your brain.
Psychedelics there are different orders of them, and I found that out after DMT. Like, have you ever done mushrooms? Like, if you have, well, it's nothing like LSD, and if you've done LSD, it's nothing like DMT, and DMT is probably nothing like Ibogaine. Yeah. So it's like, sheesh. Yeah. Different ways a psychedelic can actually how it affects your brain is different for each one. So you can't really describe it too much as it being too similar. Yeah. It is a psychedelic because of what psychedelics, show themselves to be. And it's just like very, reality bending, different, telepathic type thoughts and, just odd things that happen for each one. Each one is so different. And when you start to get to like ayahuasca and when you get to like Ibogaine, these are where when you need that heavy, you need that super duty tough work when you need help. And that's why I don't understand with people who are like ODing on heroin.
Yeah.
Do you know how many people I know that OD? I know a handful of people that OD'd on heroin.
Yeah.
One of my homegirls, Shannon, down in Cincinnati, man, she OD'd on heroin, man, and she was somebody that was like, loved the music and everything, and one of my homeboys from the Scribbling Idiots, man, Ruffian, he died of heroin. You know what I mean?
Sorry to hear that.
Man, I met him through Taylor, and so I got plenty of time to kick it with Ruffian and hang out, do shows with him, write songs with him in the studio, hang out with him. He was a cool cat. And to think that, like, why, if you want to change your life, not die,
Right.
ayahuasca, you know what I mean? Ibogaine.
Yeah.
If you have so much trauma and so much trouble on your soul and trouble on your mind, ayahuasca, ibogaine. That's kind of like, because why die?
Yeah.
Why die?
Yeah.
Dying left and right. Death, but you don't hear that with these things.
Yeah.
You don't hear it with that.
No.
Right. Yeah.
So-
No, there was a group that was doing ayahuasca. They had a license to do it. I believe I remember seeing it on TV at one point. They had their own little TV series, and where they would have people that had addictions come down, and they would stay at their facility, and they would give them ayahuasca. And they would have to stay there for X amount of days to do their treatment. And of course there was, I'm sure there was plenty of things to sign, so they were not holding any, any liability, but they had a very positive percent turnaround on using the ayahuasca from people that were addicted. So that's, the same with the combat veterans. Just like you said, with the white matter on top of the brain, growing. Do you remember how much they said it grew?
I mean, it was like 90%.
Yeah.
He said a crazy number.
A crazy number.
But that white matter too, what it does is it helps with sending signals to your nervous system and like helping like messages travel quicker. And it does make sense because if you have brain damage or if you have any type of damage from addiction or mental health or, head trauma, your brain essentially...
That front part shrinks.
Yeah, it's going to shrink.
That front part shrinks. And I've seen some studies on that too. I mean, I go through so much information and I keep it to myself, but people are doing studies on that, man.
Yeah.
Like,
and
even just trauma without drugs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Depression. It
can shrink your brain.
Yeah, it
can
shrinks
shrink
your
that
brain.
frontal cortex is what they say.
Yeah.
But you're saying that you've seen study where it actually reverses it.
It reverses
it. Makes you grow.
Yes.
The ibogaine, ibogaine grows it.
Yeah.
And they've seen this on multiple combat veterans and special forces.
Well, probably all of them.
Special forces veterans.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like this stuff is suppressed. It's villainized. It's wicked. It's evil. But this is why that governor in Texas,
Governor Abbott,
he put in, $50 million to start getting financials together for people to do clinical trials. And we know that veterans, and especially veterans in our country, are suffering and, didn't get or don't get the help that they need. And so this is, this is really going to help them out. And also, man, if you're struggling with addiction and you just that person that just keeps going back and you can't kick it, this might be something for you to look into as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know Texas, like you said, Texas has started, I think, clinical
trials. Yeah.
Clinical trials on it. So,
and they just signed it in June 2025, like June of this year. So
there you go. Look into it. Texas, anybody in Texas that's going through it, you're tired of it. You're tired of struggling with this and you don't know how to break an addiction. Governor Abbott's doing a great thing out there, so shout out to you, Governor Abbott. It's great. Zoe, my next part, man, is books. What books have influenced you on any of this study or even in music and books in general, man? What kind of books are you into?
Yeah, man. I like I like psychology books. I like history books, but not your average history books. Books that kind of like go back to what people call antiquity, before like written, recorded history, like the passed down knowledge, things of that nature. Like, for example, an author that caught my attention with his lectures first, and then I started to get into his book. He has a few books, but I would listen to lecture upon lecture by a guy named Manly P. Hall. He's a 33-degree Mason, and he's led a pretty big life, in my opinion. I think he used to work for Disney at some point as an actor, but he was a Mason, and in his latter years, he gave like these incredible sermons, and from what it sounds like, he was, these are Sunday morning sermons from wherever he would be preaching. So you could hear a crowd in the back of these lectures. So that was like the first things that really got to me, because his books are incredible. One of his books that I've read through the audio, and I've listened to it like numerous times, is The Secret Teachings of All Ages.
Okay.
Secret Teachings of All Ages by Manly P. Hall. So if you want to know about humanity in the earliest years of humanity, and how religion played its role in humanity, and the role of faith, and what demons are and what angels are, and you want to go like deep with it, Manly P. Hall has a lot of good stuff to listen to. You know, he had a controversial life. People thought he was a Satanist. People thought he was like the devil, you know, but he's not. He is not. If you listen to any of his lectures, he talks about God, and he talks about Jesus, and he talks about them in the highest regard.
Yeah.
He doesn't knock their existence, doesn't say that they don't exist, never existed, and they have nothing to offer humanity. It's the complete opposite. And he goes in depth on things like Hinduism and Buddhism and their origins, and he even gets into Muslims, and he gets into all these. But what he does is he doesn't like in these lectures overwhelm you with all of it in one lecture. He has so many lectures where he breaks everything in his big mind of information, because back then, I mean, I think that these lectures occurred in the 70s, I think in the 80s, and he was already like super old by then, like an old man. You can hear his voice creak, and then like they have video of him, and he's just an old man, and he's teaching, and he's sitting at the head of the Messiah. Oh, I think he did his lectures right out the Masonic Lodge. And you know how they got the middle seat, and they got the seat on the left and the right, and then they have like the open floor. Well, they must have had seats, because
So,
yeah, go ahead.
I don't mean to stop you, but in there, I always thought the Masonic was like a secret order that was not of Jesus or not of God.
Yeah.
Am I mistaken?
Not, you know, people have talked about that. That's why they accused Manly P. Hall of being a devil, because of that reason.
Okay.
So the Masons, what they do is, from what I understand, is they acknowledge God in all of its facets and all of its fashions. So the way they look at it is that God has manifested himself in the world in different geographical locations, made himself known to these men through their spiritual, people, prophets. And so they take their texts as sacred. And so they have all of those texts in the lodge. And so each lodge is controlled. And so each lodge is controlled and has an agenda when it comes to spirituality. So a lodge can choose to reject the God of any of those texts. Some lodges can, but other lodges can be like, no, we are the Christian lodge. This is our lodge. We're a Christian. There are other lodges, which I would believe that the Boule, which is what they consider the Black Illuminati, but basically Black Masons, I'm sure they're like, no, the Quran is our holy book, and I'm sure there are sects where I think that the Gita is one of the Vedic scriptures are in that circle. And so each lodge controls its own destiny in a sense while remaining united. And the way that they remain united is through secrecy, because to them, through secrecy is the only true form of freedom. Because if you can't be secret about what we talk about in here, what freedom do we have in here is what they're trying to say. We don't have any freedom if you're spreading our secrets. So I'm just like, I'm the one that's like listening in on this. And if you have a lot of like listeners who are Christian, they're, ignore all this. You know what I mean? Ignore all this. You don't have to believe it's true. This is all the work. This is all the type of research that I got from Manly. Because there was a time where I was obsessed with like, what is the Illuminati? What is the Masons? Who are these people? Yeah. So it's just a lot of that. So that's what that is. That's why people consider it demonic, because to Christians, Muslims are demonic, the Hindus are demonic, Buddhists are demonic, but Christians are not. Christians are not demonic. Yeah. But that's the view.
Right. I understand that. I get that.
Well, it's kind of like, too, even with, I know I've mentioned on here, like Dr. Joe Dispenza, Dr. Caroline Leaf. Yeah. Dr. Joe Dispenza is a neuroscientist. He's a neuroscientist, and Dr. Caroline Leaf is a neuroscientist. They say the exact same things, but Caroline Leaf, she, she's a believer, and she breaks down the Bible in scientific terminology with the mind. Right. But, Joe Dispenza says the same things, but it's like, don't listen to Joe. And honestly, even with Caroline, she's got a lot of flack from Christians too. Yeah.
But, I feel the one thing with Dr. Joe Dispenza is that when I hear his teachings and
you hear the word.
I hear the word.
you hear it.
He doesn't say the scripture. He doesn't say
no, but
but
okay, that's what he's talking about.
You can put together that he's talking about the word.
Like he's influenced by the Bible. Somehow, some way.
Absolutely.
And he's relating it scientifically in a way that you can apply to your life.
Yeah. Yeah. And just, for everyone who doesn't know who either are, they're neuroscientists. And Dr. Caroline Leaf, if you really want to dive into the way that your brain works and how the Word of God, works in tandem with that, get her books, she's got some good stuff out there. Dr. Caroline Leaf.
Dr. Caroline Leaf. I'm just going to say, even if you do know who they are, go back and watch their videos again, man, because they got some good episodes. And honestly, I was just talking about renewing our minds with the boys the other day. Edgar and Makai was over, and
yeah, man. Another book I wanted to put out there is Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. That's another good book. What else is another good book? The Hindi Yogi Science of Breath. That's another good book, man. I've listened to that multiple times. Like, breathing is a big deal. Yeah. What else? Florence Scovel Shinn, The Game of Life and how to play it. That's another good one.
Good meditation.
Yeah, it's like basically like affirmation. It's like word. Okay. It's like using your words. How you use your words. Like
putting them out there.
Like saying truthful affirmations in whatever, and it's tailored to your situation. Right. Like there's one where she said she wrote it for somebody, and she said. The walls of lack and decay now crumble away, and I make room for my wonderful. I'm butchering it. I make way for my wonderful. I'm paraphrasing blessing, to come to me in wonderful ways, and so it's like speaking over your life and allowing that emotion and that repetitive
the
word,
emotion, to
change to change your world, to change your life,
to change matter.
using your faith.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's exactly what the Bible says, you know. If you shall say to this mountain, be moved, and believe, it shall be moved.
Yeah.
All things are possible through Christ who strengthens us.
Yeah.
And then the meditation part, you know, that meditation part is just like what I was telling you about. I was telling the boys is like, you know, you got to renew your mind, and that how do you renew your mind is by meditation in the Word and in the Lord. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's super deep.
Yeah, dude. She says something like, that's along those lines. There's nothing that's too good to be true. There's nothing too wonderful to happen, and there's nothing. I forget the third one, but it's along those lines, like you know, and it builds faith when you say these things over and over. The faith building part of it feels good.
Right.
It feels good. It has to feel good, especially when you do say it and repeat it. It has to come from a place of, you know, emotion and imagination. Like while you're saying it, you're seeing it and you're feeling it, and then you just leave it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No fear, no worry. You just say it and leave it as you put it out there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people struggle with that concept even today. I think people are starting to awaken to it for sure. Right? Like even I have to keep talking about this Forrest Frank, you know, situation where he broke his back and, you know, but he believed. You know, he believed and he professed it. And I love that because it's like we're starting to realize that when we speak things with an elevated emotion, we manifest.
Yeah.
And the Bible is clear about that. You know, you speak, your tongue speaks life or death. You know, essentially.
And you'll be rewarded.
Yeah, and you'll be rewarded. And you're creating your reality. Yeah. You're the one creating your reality with what you speak. So, you know, when you understand it in that way of like, wow, like this is not something that is happening to me. This is something that I'm doing. Like, you know, to be able to speak with an elevated emotion. Like, imagine how often do you do that all day? Now, when you learn
do
to
it in
switch
a negative way.
Yeah.
Human beings tend to be negative and incline on the negative.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do.
So if we switched that and we started to do it positive and love and affirming, you know, recognizing too, like, you know, if you really just imagine like your emotion center is on the right side of your brain, if you imagine that that's connected to your heart and you begin to just, you know, speak and breathe from your heart and start to focus on all the wonderful emotions that God has given you, that you have the ability to actually speak, you'll do it way more. And you'll be way more conscious of what you're saying that doesn't align with that, you know? And I think a lot of people now are starting to awaken to that. Like that's what I was saying about Forrest Frank. Like, yes, he was prayed over, but he believed and he confessed it.
Yeah, that faith.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so it just breaks down, like these doctors, these studies, these things, they just break down more in depth what that actually means, you know, because I think a lot of people just have faith. Well, how? You know what I mean? Like,
God tells us to have a childlike mind, you know.
Yeah.
Children imagine things all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Literally.
So I think we've forgotten that as a society, and I think a lot of us are starting to wake up to that.
Yeah, we have.
You know? But
in the books, though, in all these books that we've talked about now, have any of these books influenced you in your writing?
Yeah, absolutely, definitely. I like more than any time I've ever been writing, I realized that like words are powerful. I'm going to be singing these songs on stage and I'm going to want the best of luck, you know? So it's like, being able to just, I guess, say the best things possible because I'm going everywhere to say these things. So, so these books have made me realize that, okay, quit talking smack on in a verse and just be talking about rapping and or talking about yourself or trying to make fun of somebody subliminally or whatever the case may be. Because I used to play those stupid games. Like it's just stupidity. But nowadays, more than anything, that's what's going on. Recently, I was on an album with Casmetta and J. Rawls. I'm on the Crew record called Glory, and that's a perfect example of that, of me, caring about what I say, but bringing the skill to the table too as well. So that's another one, and it's definitely affected.
What song is that?
It's called Glory.
Glory.
Yeah. The album is called Criminal Blinded.
Okay.
And it's supposed to be a play on words with Criminal Minded, which is a KRS-One album. So this one's called Criminal Blinded. There's a guy on the front and he's holding his hand out and he got his eyes closed. And the song's called Glory, and it's Ohio's very own J. Rawls and Casmetta. And we got a crew song on that record, and it's called Glory. And so that's a perfect, like I said, a perfect example of how books have influenced my writing and the things that I'm saying now when I'm writing. So
check out that song.
Definitely check that out.
I've read spiritual books too. I've read Siddhartha, which is a Buddhist book. I've read the Bhagavad Gita. I've read portions of the Rig Veda. I've read. I haven't read the Quran, which I don't know if I can bring myself to read the Quran, but I'll tell you what, the Bhagavad Gita is one of the most beautiful books, and so is Siddhartha, like one of the most beautiful books. And these are ancient texts. These are ancient texts. Like before the Bible was written, these books were already written.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like that's
old.
how old.
Wow.
But beautiful books.
Right. I believe it. So, the mental side of being creative, handling pressure, criticism, and self-doubt. How does mindset shape your music and your life?
Mindset. I mean, anybody who does anything and they want to do it good, it's just you have to learn consistency. You have to learn persistence and perseverance. It's something that you have to learn. For anybody who's wanting to do music, it's something that you got to learn. Besides showmanship, getting up in front of people and losing the fear of speaking in front of people. That's something that you got to be persistent at pursuing. And for everybody that wants to knock church and say church is so horrible, get in a small church.
Right.
Get in a small church where you can have more, I don't know what the word is, more ability to do work in that church that is of importance, maybe of great importance in a small church. The mega churches, you might have a hard time and there might be some competition in bigger churches, but don't knock church. Get in, let it be about God. And if you want to speak in front of people, church is a beautiful place to go to do that, to speak in front of people, talk to people, overcome your fear. Now,
one thing I'm going to say on that, and, all three of us can attest to this, is though you've been doing it longer. Natalie, you can kind of attest with me, but there's days, man, where you have to force yourself, and I'm sure you've had days when you were on the road that where, man, you just don't want to be in front of the camera, you don't want to be in front of the crowd, but you still have to know how to put that face on and how to do your job and use that perseverance like we've talked about, and really just do it. What you're meant to do, what you're called to do. Correct myself there. So
a lot of that, man. A lot of that is in your personal life, in your personal space. Like when you're writing the rhymes or when you're making the plans, You know, it's like you got to see yourself doing it. You got to see the show coming together, and that everybody's going to show up, and you got to make the calls, and so it's like a lot of the things that you do to make the beautiful art happens behind the scenes, happens when you're at home, happens when you and the thing is that when you create the habit, it's easier to do. And I think I also too think this, make money. Don't sell yourself short. Make money, but don't be greedy about it. Don't feel like every single time that you do something, you got to be making some money, or you know, you're just an idiot. That's man. Mad
That's
people
true,
have
though.
done shows for free. Mad people have done you know, appearances for free. Mad people have done the things for free and didn't expect a thing.
Right.
And it just built over time.
Yeah.
But I would say, you know, let money inspire you. Like, don't let it motivate you. Don't let it be the motivator. Let it inspire the possibility that I can literally be doing this for money.
Yeah.
And eventually you'll get into places and positions, situations where people are inviting you and then paying you, and they're giving you an envelope, and you're not even really
expecting
it.
Yeah.
That's the beginning. That's the beginning of it. When you're given those first few envelopes, then it's like, now you got to step up your faith level one more time. Never get comfortable with your faith level. Never get comfortable with your level that you're at, or that you think that you're at. Keep chipping away.
Yeah. That's good.
You know, I mean,
You've never arrived.
Yeah. and you know, the one thing in that I love that you're saying is, especially when you was telling people, you know, to go to a smaller church, get up there, get yourself in front of people and give your testimony, you know.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I want to remind everybody that Satan is going to throw darts, you know, when you're doing what you're called to be doing.
Yeah.
And that's just a test of your faith. Don't lose motivation at that part. You know, that's when your discipline's going to have to kick in and carry you through, because of course he's going to try to stop you from spreading the kingdom of God. So definitely, you know, if you do start that, and I encourage anybody who wants to go do that, but do not be demotivated or do not get knocked down by the lies of the enemy.
Well, and don't be so
for sure.
self-centered or like focused on just you, because if God gave you a gift, then that gift is not for you. Like, it's not just for you, it's for other people.
Right.
And when you get like, you know, fixated on yourself, like if, you know, he was talking about mindset, if your mindset is just to promote yourself and elevate yourself, like expect that to fail. Because, you know, you also have to think about the way that the giftings and the things that God put in you that, you know, are somebody else's, like,
it's for God's glory. Keep God at the center of it.
It's for their deliverance. It's not just for you. So
So my last question, wrapping up here, is what practices do you use on a daily basis, such as prayer, meditation, and journaling? Do you use any of that?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Which one do you use? What do you feel you use the most?
A little variation of all of them. I would say prayer and affirmation, but not prayer as in kneeling on my knees. It's like meditation and it's like affirmations. I think that's pretty much mostly. My prayer, I still don't know how to pray, I don't think. I just know that asking for stuff is kind of like the end of it for me. Like, I don't want to come to God asking for nothing. And so I just been trying to like formulate my prayer around that. Like quit asking God for what you need, because he knows what you need before you even tell him what you need. And so like I've been trying to like rack my brain around this. I'm like, not ask God what I need, not tell him what I need, you know, not be like, God, I need this, but you know, I'm learning that calling out of need is only reinforcing the lack.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah, it
saying?
is.
It's only reinforcing, God, I need money. God, I need this. God, I need that.
Right.
All you're doing is just in your own subconscious, in your own, and speaking it, you're just creating a
Creating it.
space of lack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know? And so I'm like, more,
Like
God,
gratitude.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for what I already got.
Yeah.
Thank you
Yeah.
for what I already got. I don't understand what's going on right now because all the cards seem stacked against me. But I'm just going to bring my heart to you. I'm going to look at you. I'm going to put my hands up. I'm going to read scriptures.
Yeah.
You know, Psalms seems to cover everything. Like, you know, as far as prayers are concerned, I don't think that there's a new prayer that you could create because Psalms covers it all.
Yeah.
Psalms covers everything that you might be concerned about.
Yeah.
Like if you're concerned about losing your money, if you're concerned about losing a friendship, if you're concerned about losing anything, if you're concerned about dying, if you're concerned about like diseases, if you're concerned about like, you know,
Yeah.
getting
Fear,
old,
yeah.
getting disease, you know, Psalm seems to cover everything. And so when you do find a Psalm and you do find a scripture, let that scripture just be your prayer, that little one. Let it be for your prayer for a time and repeat it back to God.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so funny, but like there's parts of like those Psalms where like David is being sarcastic to God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's almost like he's challenging God. Like, and he'll be like God, like, I'm going through the worst crap right now, dude. He's like, what? Do dead people give you praises? No, I'm the one that gives you praises. The dead people can't give you praises, God. Help me.
Right.
Help me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So there are times where he gets real sarcastic and I'll bust out laughing in the morning like, that's funny.
Yeah.
But that's what I loved about David, man. David, he always seemed to be so real and so close to God. And even when he did have his times, man, he was always there. That's awesome.
David was definitely a horrible example, and I wouldn't want to. I don't want to follow his example per se, but maybe his example in praying,
In prayer,
because he lived a messed up life. He did messed up crap, and maybe that's what the Bible was for. Is to be like, look, man,
Don't do that.
But you know
keep
what?
the faith.
What you said is exactly how people be acting, you know? Like,
Yeah.
God, like I'm the one here. Why am I? We're questioning God, you know? So I feel like that's just so natural to at least the American
Human.
culture of humans that we are, is that we always want to question God, you know, and God already knows, you know?
He does.
We just got to speak it into the airways and have our faith.
Yeah.
But Zoe, man,
Yeah, man.
I appreciate you
No
being
doubt,
here.
man. I'm glad
Matter
we
of
got to
fact,
talk.
Mouf Warren, I
Thank you.
appreciate you being
No
here.
doubt,
Thank
bro.
you.
Appreciate it, man.
Check out
Where
his music.
where can we find your music?
You can check me out on Spotify. You can check me out on YouTube. Mouf Warren. Scribbling Idiots is the group. Shout out Just Me. Shout out Taylor. Shout out Jamie. Shout out Theo. Shout out Motion, man. The Scribbling Idiots. I have a project out with Kaz Meta called 3P. Go check that out right now on YouTube, on Spotify, all the major platforms. 3P. It's a green artwork. You'll notice it says 3P right in the middle. But yeah, check me out there, and then from there you should be able to go down the rabbit hole. Scribbling Idiots. We have a bunch of albums. We have a bunch of projects. We have a bunch of mixtapes. You know, so yeah, man. Go have fun.
Yeah.
That's what's up, man. I appreciate you guys. Appreciate you
No
both
doubt,
being
man.
here.
Yep, of course.